water at first over the canvas. Just not too much water. And if you're working on a flat surface, then just be careful because you can overdo it. All right, okay, cool. So when you are done prepping with the water, you can go ahead and take a little dip into your blue paint here. And we're just gonna start adding some of this blue up in the top area of our canvas. There is gonna be a little spot where we're gonna not pass down too far. We're gonna wanna like cut off our canvas about here. I mean, just like a third of it, you're gonna wanna leave a little bit alone for now. We're just gonna take some more of this blue and just keep passing it back and forth up here. All right, so it's pretty loose, kind of messy. Now I'm just going to start dipping into my black paint. I'm not cleaning off my brush. I'm just grabbing blue and black together, and it just kind of like marbles on the plate a little bit. I'm not over mixing. I'm just going to start adding this in now and just adding that dark blue that happens to blend on my brush for me. I'm going to start painting these edges as well. And we're just going to gradually keep adding this black and blue until we get this nice and dark like the sky up in here. So just keep adding it. Keep going. You definitely don't want to use more black than blue. So if you catch it getting too dark, I have a little secret that will lighten that up a little bit. And it actually happened because my son likes to help me make my paintings. So since Silas chipped in on this painting that we have up here, we got to use a few of his techniques. Whoops. All right, so more blue and black on my brush. I'm just going to keep working in this sky. If you feel like your paint isn't moving for you, you might not have enough paint on your brush. So just definitely refresh your brush after a few strokes. And if you feel like you're really struggling with that paint, you can always take a little quick dip into the water and refresh your brush that way. Just be careful. Too much water, you can end up with drips and runs down your canvas, and that can strip the paint that you just put on there. All right. Let's see where we're at. It's good to get up and take a few steps back to look at what you've done so far. It helps you get kind of perspective. So I'm still definitely not finished with my sky here. But when I stand up, I see that it's not as dark as it was when I was sitting down. So that's a good thing because I don't want it too dark. So I'm just going to keep adding my blue and black combo until this is all filled in. So when you start getting up here in these corners too, you can definitely use more black because that will help those stars really stand out. Okay, so I'm just going to start using up the rest of my paint on here, which my blue has now turned to black pretty much. So I'm just going to kind of allow the rest of my canvas here to adopt that black. All right, I would have some music going. I know it's a little bit quiet, but I don't have any licensed music to use. So I do apologize for that if it's ever quiet or too quiet. I also talk a lot too, so I apologize in advance for that. Just take the rest of that black paint, and we are going to also coat all these edges here because this gives it a nice little frame so we don't have to go out and buy one or order online and have it, you know, ordered for pickup. Getting canvases framed can be kind of a pain in the butt too, so I just paint the sides and avoid it altogether. All right, so a little bit more spreading all throughout here. One more for good measure. Make sure all these edges are done. Yeah, I stand up a lot. It's hard for me to sit down and paint, but we do what we gotta do. How you doing over there, Mom? Here, making sure everything's going well. Okay. All right, back to it. We're going to talk about this water now. So for the water portion here, we're going to primarily use blue and white, but we are going to add in a little bit of the black. As you can see behind me here, I'll pull up that painting again. Oop, there we go. Pull it back up for you. We're going to start working on this water. It looks so much brighter, and that's because this black somehow can, this brand of the black anyway, can somehow cause the blue and white to turn into this like teal color. So it's what we're going to try and achieve here, but you definitely might have a different blue or something else going on, and don't feel like it has to look exactly like this. As long as we have the water texture in there with primarily blue, it's going to look fine. So clean brush now. I'm going to grab some blue and white. I'm not going to overly mix. I tend to just kind of grab globs a lot of both colors and let the mixing happen on my canvas and just be very generous with it because that really helps to move the paint around. So now with blue and white on my brush, on my clean brush, I'm going to start my strokes left to right like so. And I'm going to just try to avoid over mixing on here the best I can. But if you still have your blue-black pile over here, you can definitely grab some white, grab a little more blue, and then if you're daring, grab some of that of the blue and black from your old pile. You can always do a little tester on your plate too. Now this is going to be where your shadows are, so if you do decide to dip into your dark colors, I recommend starting low because you can always make things appear like you're like near a bank or something. So just start moving this color from left to right. If you start seeing it get patchy like this, you're probably not using enough paint, so just remember to keep grabbing more. All right, now I'm starting to get some darker hues. You just want to keep this nice and streaky, not overwork these spots. And now I'm starting to get some little patches of shadowy water, which is what I really like to see. I grabbed a little bit of black here. Now I'm just going to kind of pull these in from the sides. Again, trying not to over mix. And just start pulling that color, fill it, bring it all the way up to that skyline, as far as you can. How are you doing over there, Mom? Okay. More generous, more paint. Use more paint. And it really helps too to use your brush long ways like this, because this gets you more of that surface area when you take your brush and you're using it flat, using every side of those bristles that you can get. So that really helps that. And if you're struggling with the streakiness, if it's just, don't forget these sides too, by the way. If you're struggling with the streakiness, every now and then you can turn your brush flat like this and then pull in some more streaks. Just play with your water for a bit. Get it the way you want. Streaky. A little bit of shadowing. I want more shadow in mine, so I'm going to grab some more of this black. Let's take some black and blue and just mix those two together by themselves. I'm not getting any specific shade, just more black and blue together. There we go. That's some deep dark color we want. All right, move this around. You know, kind of mess with your brush a little bit. See what techniques you like more. If you like your brush being like the long ways like this more, if you like it more like sideways when it comes to building the water texture, just play with it. Okay. And the more you keep your lines flat, the more still your water is going to appear. The more you have like swoops and stuff, the more active and alive your water is going to appear, which would be good for like a rolling ocean painting, but we want kind of a still lake for this one. All right, so we're getting there as far as fullness goes. So one last thing I'm going to do to this water real quick is, and you don't have to like be really right up against that. You can leave a little line if you want to in between here for the mountains and stuff, because we're going to be covering all that up later. So for these little lines in the water here that are really nice and they stand out, I'm just going to kind of flatten my brush out on my plate here, or surface, whatever you're using. Then I'm going to grab a little scoop of white paint, like on the top of my brush, just kind of like kick it. And then on the bottom side here, I'm going to dip into my blue-black mix. So top of my brush will have white, bottom of my brush will have, that's not what I wanted, we'll have a little bit of the blue and black mixture. So we got top white, blue and black mixture. And this is how we can kind of add some little waves and stuff in here. Might need a little bit more white. You could just add as many of these as you want to help your water look a little bit more active. Just a little bit in between still and active is what we're going for. Right. I'm going to kind of keep my little white streaks primarily in the center because of the peak that goes into the sky. But that's going to complete our steps for the lake. I am going to pick my canvas up just a bit here because we do have this last little bottom edge that we're going to want to cover up. You can either cover it up now or cover it up at the end of class. It's really up to you on when you take care of that. Just don't forget about it. All right. So I'm not going to bring it back down just yet. There's one more thing I want to do to the canvas here before we jump into our break time, because we got to let this thing dry. So I'm going to clean off my brush really good, but I'm not going to dry it off. I'm just going to make sure I get it nice and clean. I'm going to tap off some of this excess water. Now this part is super fun. And I'm going to show you how to add the water to this to make the splatter paint here. And then I have some GIFs to put up so that you can look at them and see how I am flicking the paint on there. So I got water on my brush here. I'm going to stand up a little bit so you can see. Just see. All right. So I got the edge of my white paint. That's the edge here. And you just want to add the water to your edge to where it gets loose. I'm not going to do it too much because I'm too close to the camera. Not going to do it too much too close to camera because my camera is currently my laptop. So you just want to get it nice and loose. So your paint's going to look pretty pretty wet on the brush. It's still going to have a little bit of a solid feel, but it's not going to be overly thick or overly wet. You can tell it's not dripping yet, but it looks pretty wet. So for this, you just want to just kind of mix a little bit more onto the brush using your finger. And then we're going to flick into the sky here. So I'm just flicking. The closer you are to your canvas, there's a chance you might get shooting stars. If you get shooting stars, which are going to just be your splatters that have like a connection, just leave those for now. We're just going to go ahead and splatter these. And then you could really just do as much of this as you want. I'm going to just kind of collect a lot of this splatter in the center here where that peak goes. I want a lot of lightness there. So definitely a lot down the middle and more all around. And if you get any stray splatter, in your water down here, since this is all still pretty wet, all you have to do is just kind of go back in with your brush and blend those out. I didn't have very much paint left on my brush when I decided to go back and touch that, so you didn't see a lot of white, but definitely check, because you could accidentally just make one big smear of white, so just be wary. A little bit more splatter, because I love stars, and this is my favorite. All right, that's going to complete those first steps for the painting here. I'm going to let that kind of sit up there. I'm going to put us on a little break, so that way if you're painting and you need to catch up, you can. And I'm just going to kind of go to the splatter tip screen. If you need help or have questions, just message me or, hit the chat button. But all right, gonna go on mute, gonna show you those tip screens, and we'll be back to painting at 7:28. Oh, in the meantime, if you have a hairdryer, that will speed up your dry time pretty quickly here. So if you have a hairdryer, definitely get one. And if you used up all your paper towels, get more. We're gonna need them. All right, break time officially now. We'll be back at 7:28. Okay, we're back. We are back. And ta-da. All right. So our canvas should be pretty dry. We're not going to be working in the water part here for a minute. We're pretty much done with our water. We are going to end up shaving some of it down in a way when we add our little snowbank up here. But for now, we're going to keep focusing up here in the sky area, because we are going to create our little crest, our Milky Way, coming up from the top of our mountain here. So we're going to want our clean paper towel. Here's your clean paper towel. And I'm just going to kind of crumple it from the center here, just kind of wrap it around my hand. No true technique to that. I mean, you could just make a ball and it will work. So we're going to be doing the bright blue first here. And the bright blue is just going to be by itself, the plain blue by itself. If you're working with multiple blues, just kind of look for one that's a little bit more transparent on your canvas. So I dipped my napkin into the blue, and I'm just going to kind of tap off some excess over here because my blue was up here. So I'm tapping off my excess because I don't want a whole lot on my brush all at once. So now I'm going to take this blue, and I'm just going to lightly tap it. Might be a little hard to see there, but you'll definitely see it happening on yours. It should just look like little speckles or little blotches of blue, and you can mess around with it, see if you need to use a little bit more blue or not. Just definitely hold the back of your canvas if you're using an upright easel like me. Make sure that it's secure and stuff, because I have seen easels fall over on top of people and into their lap. If you're on a flat surface, just hold it steady. And so you can create little clouds of like fluff over here. You can, like, it doesn't have to stay in the center. You can make it like branch out like a tree. You can really give it any kind of character you want, because this is going to be your design. They're all like fingerprints. Once you start doing stuff like this, it's going to always be different. So I'm just going to kind of load it up and start using a little bit more blue, because I definitely want enough wet blue on here for the next step. So I do have a GIF here that I can show y'all how I can show you what it looks like that I am doing. So just give me a second here and let me add that little thing. Let's see. All right, I'm looking for it, looking for it. I just had it. Where did it go? Whenever you need things, they disappear, right? Right? It's true. Whenever you need something, it disappears. Okay, y'all should be able to see that. We'll just leave that right there. That's pretty much what I'm doing, is I'm just taking that blue. Keep going. You need more dabbing, definitely more in there. But you can see on the little GIF I have right here how much blue I'm actually using. So keep working on that. Y'all can see that, right? Definitely using more blue. And I'm going to add some little clouds over here. And basically, if you have any light spots on your canvas, if you have anything that's light, really light, you can take this blue and just kind of patch it in there. Like, say this little section here, it's a little bit too bright for me, so I'm just going to throw some of that blue in there. See, where else do I want a little bit more blue? Definitely up here. Okay, so while this blue is still wet, we can start introducing the white to it. So let's grab a little bit of white on our brush and just tap it into the same area where you're working with the blue. Okay, and let's hide this little GIF here for now, because I'm pretty sure y'all got the gist of that. All right, so just going to take the white and blue mix on my brush, and I'm just going to start following the center here. Now, that came out a little bit too solid for me, so I'm just going to kind of re-crumple, try and remold it here, and just continue making this little path going up the center and letting it kind of fade out into a darker light blue into the rest of this here. But you can take black on your napkin after this and kind of diffuse it a little bit more if you feel like it's just too bright. But I do want a little bit more brightness in the center, so I'm going to add more white in that center here. I'm going to do it just kind of plain, add a little bit more spray, kind of looking like a whale spraying into the air here. Do a whale instead of a mountain. How about that, guys? Just kidding, we'll do the mountain. I didn't prepare for a whale. Sorry. Got excited there myself. And you can add some of that little white to those other little clusters you had over here, whatever's like left over on your napkin. Like, you can really play with this however you want. I'm going to kind of stretch mine up to the sky a little bit more. I'm going to grab some more plain blue. Lots of napkin work right now. All right. So at this point, with the white and everything, I'm definitely going to have a little bit more white in the center here. Just going to kind of lightly dab some white. Now, if you wanted to go back and diffuse it, like say some of your spots are just way too solid, too patchy, you can take a clean part of your napkin, grab a little bit of black, tap that excess somewhere on your plate. Don't want to use too much. And with the black, you can use it to kind of just sprinkle in a little bit of darkness in here. You know, can't be too light and happy around here. Gotta have a little bit of deep, dark stuff. I'm just kidding. Mama didn't hear me. That's good. Alright, so I just added a little bit of black in here. And now I'm just going to set this napkin aside because that's going to complete the sky here. A little bit more. La la la. Done. Okay. Let me see what else I got for y'all. I'm going to let you finish a little bit more of the cloud step. Okay. So we definitely want to work on these next steps while the spray in the air, the clouds, the Milky Way, whatever you want to call them, are wet. So we want our big brush here. My wine down in a safe space. So now we want to take our big brush, nice and clean. During our break time, we got our water changed out, so it's all clean water now. It doesn't have to be. It can still be dark, messy, dirty water for these scenes. So situate my chair here. So for these mountains, while this is all wet, it's great because it will help us add texture to the mountains instead of having to go in and fight the black for more color. So then, one second, I think someone needs to sneeze. Never mind. So now I'm going to take some black with a little bit of the blue and white mix that we had on here earlier. If you don't have any, just grab a little bit of blue and white so you get kind of like this like steel blue black color. Just looks like black with a tint of blue in it. And we're going to start shaping out our mountain peak. And we definitely want to have it in the center here. A little bit higher than the middle of your canvas. So find the middle of your canvas and you want to be above your water. You want to have enough room above your water so where we keep most of it down here and we don't lose too much when we make the banks. So I want to have the middle of my canvas. I'm going to go a little bit higher here and that's going to be the peak of my mountain, just that little triangle. Let me bring this up close to you. You can see where I put that peak. Then from there, I'm going to shape out the rest of the mountains on the sides of it. There are 3 little bumps here, 2 bumps on the right side, but you can make these mountains however you want. The more pointy, the more Lord of the Rings, kind of old folklore they're going to look. The more your hand shakes, the more natural it's going to look, but also it's a dark background. Just kind of go with the flow here, just whatever your hand makes. Just make some little mounds on the side. We just want our one in the middle here, the tallest. Keep adding paint. Make some little lines here. for the other mountains. Then we're going to start pulling with a little bit of black on our brush. We're going to start pulling that wet paint from the back and just down. We're going to start filling in these mountains. Now, we're not going to bring it down past this line here. We're just going to start filling it in, letting it grab some of that paint in the back, and then maybe some crisscross textures like this to help build a little bit of texture in here. Grabbing a little bit of blue-black here with that little tinge of white. Now, what I'm trying to achieve is not a pure black mountain.
No,
you can start with that and add more black as you go. Yeah, you can add more black as you go if you're worried about losing it too much. Now, like, you can't really tell on mine, but you can definitely see my mountain, but I have a little bit more blue and white in that black, so you can see some of those textures starting to build up. So what I like to do is imagine a little line going, like, say, down to the right inside my mountain. So I've made this little line here where I just followed it down the center and went over to the right. And what I'm going to do is use that as my little reference point to drag and pull from, and then just fill in the rest of these all willy-nilly, however you want. And reserve a little bit of that lightness for the parts of the mountain that are closest to your peak here. So this little mountain over here on this side is going to get a little bit more of the gray-white in the mixture. Ooh, that was a lot of white. We can fix that. We can actually just borrow it, use it for the rest of this. Yeah, why not? Accidents happen. A lot of stuff in paintings are accidents and nobody tells you. Secret's out now. All right. Sorry if you can hear my other half in the background. I don't know what he's doing, but I think he's on a phone call. I'm just going to use kind of more black to fill in these other parts here. Ooh, that's definitely a deeper black. Just going to build this in. Now this dries differently too. So when it dries, sometimes it dries a little bit darker or lighter, depending on the paint brand, how much of it you use. Sometimes if you don't use enough, it comes out a little bit lighter. But yeah. So now I'm just going to start dragging this paint down towards the bottom here. I'm going to take a step back at my canvas just to see if I like the way my mountains are looking. I definitely have a little bit more blue in my mountains this time versus the first painting, but that's okay. That doesn't make me mad. I actually like it a little bit more with the extra blue. You can see these little peaks better, and it'll be a great background for the white paint that we're going to come back and add. So now I'm just kind of grabbing a little bit of black paint, touching up these sides on the right side of these mountains and on the left side of these ones over here. Maybe a little bit down here on that guy. A little bit darkness. What that does is that just kind of makes it look a little bit more realistic. So now I'm just going to start brushing out some of those. I'm going to give you a second to work on those mountains before we start pulling it downwards into the water here. Okay, so while these mountains are still wet, we want to definitely keep working to pull it down to create the little snowbank that we're going to place here. So I'm going to take that black and blue mixture we've been using with a little bit of white in it. It's kind of steel blue now. And we're just going to pull this and kind of connect these two spaces. I don't want it to be too dark, so I'm going to add a little bit of the white to my mix here. Just kind of get like a gray color. You can see my mess over here. I just want this like dark blue gray. I'm going to work that here in the center. Just kind of close this off. And now you can decide how big you want your snowbank. Don't forget to wrap all this stuff around the sides here. You can come back and do the mountains, but with this water or these little banks in water and stuff, you'll definitely want to do it now. So I'm pulling this down and I'm going to decide like how I want my bank to be. So this one comes a little bit lower, kind of curves and hikes a little bit up to the right there. So if you want to keep that trend, I'm just going to grab a little bit more white into the same mixture. So I grab more white. And I'm going to just kind of trace out a little bank for myself. And if you see that you have little dots of other color of paint below there, just kind of work this line first and we'll clean it up with some plain white paint after we make our little snowbank here. So we want a nice little gray, blue-gray snowbank for the most part, and then when we take our white and we trace with the white, it will brighten it up just a little bit because we don't want it too bright. It's nighttime in this painting. I'm just going to kind of scrape the top pieces here. You could definitely grab more white if you want more brightness here towards the center where most of that light in the painting is. You can make some little streaks. You can blend it out. When in doubt, blend it out, y'all. That's also a thing. Sometimes you have little accidents and your banks end up a little bit bigger or smaller, but I'm pretty happy with the way that looks. Maybe a little bit more piles of paint here with just some blots. You can do that. That kind of builds like some texture here because we definitely have some stuff that's going to be happening. How about this? We take a little bit of this lightness, just create a little trail going up into the mountain a little bit. You can see that's the little path that we got there. That will lead us up into our mountain just a little bit. Alrighty, so this is another little spot where we can take a little bit of a break. You can clean off your brush, get that nice and ready for you for the next few steps that will be coming up. But I'm going to give you a few minutes to work on this to where you get it just the way you want. So I'll give you about 2 minutes for that. Alrighty, so I have these steps right here. There's just a repeat of what I was currently doing. So now that we are going to be back to painting this part, this next part here, so we're going to start adding some detail into our mountains. They might still be a little bit wet, which is totally okay for this next step because if they're too dry, then the white will stand out too much and it'll look just kind of really unreal. So let's go ahead and get our brush nice and clean. Same big brush here. I know we got this little guy sitting around waiting for us, but he will have his time to shine. Let's go ahead and get this brush nice and clean. Definitely refill on white paint if you need some more. All right, nice and clean brush. So what I like to do is for these steps here is I kind of just pinch my brush close to where it has like a little bit of a seal to it, so it's like nice and flat. And you can grab some of your white paint like that. This will give you really sharp little lines, so if you want them to be a little bit more natural looking, you can give your brush a few taps onto your plate, and that will give them a little bit of movement into these next steps here. So what I'm going to do with this white is I'm going to follow the tip of my mountain here with very light taps, very light pressure, just very light. And just kind of add a little snow peak along there. You can do it along the other side a little bit, and very sharp, as you can see. My lines are very crisp, and I want to mess that up. I don't want that to be so perfect, because we all know what perfect really is like. It's messy. So let's go ahead and tap a little bit more in here. And if you're still getting too much of that texture, you can always do a few little swoops and let it catch that wet paint underneath. And you can tap some more heavy like snow here and just do a few more swoops. Build some texture. You can tap along that little crisp edge we made. There. I like the way that looks. All right. So if you're getting too many of those crisp little lines, just do a couple swoops in there, and that breaks them up. And those swoops just be very nice and short and quick with them. Little, like, you don't want to get too crazy and go too hard and too fast. And when it comes to the rest of these mountains here, I don't want too many to have too much snow or too much stuff on them, because I kind of want this guy to be the star of the show. So I'm going to grab a little bit more of that white. I'm going to just kind of tap on the brighter side of this little guy down here. And then add a little bit more little freckles maybe over here. Not using too much of my brush for that guy. Come back to this one who's on the right side, add a few little peaks of snow in there, a little bit over here. And then with not a whole lot left on my brush, I'm just going to kind of tap some little bits of snow on the side. Okay, so now we should have some snow on our mountains here. And you can play with that for a minute, get that the way that you like. And just if you feel like it's too heavy, or if you feel like you've just messed it up and stuff, you can always take a little bit more of the black and blue and just kind of tone it down a little bit more. It might lighten up your mountains a bit much, so just be very cautious when doing stuff like that. Two of the pictures are the same. The one in the middle has a little bit more of the swoop action, while the ones on the side are the same. So don't get too excited for all three of those GIFs. Okay, so if you're doing the mountains still, then keep working on that. We're going to continue our break for just a little minute here, because we want this area to be pretty dry. Also, if this area came out really black for you, then you can add a little bit more of the blue, black, and white mixture to kind of bring up the color just a little bit, because we are going to add some trees next. And these trees kind of take, like, they're going to be pure black trees, and we can do things to make them stand out. But in order to get them to just stand out the way they are, we want to like a little bit more lightness in the background here. So I'm going to go ahead and just kind of take mine up just a little bit more, where I plan on putting these trees. I'm just going to kind of brighten this up just a little bit, not too heavy with it. Just a little bit lighter than what I got in the back. And I'm just going to do it to the sides here where those trees are going to be primarily. Because these trees, they taper down as they get towards the center, so they're not as big towards the center. They're mostly big towards the sides here. So I just kind of made that a little bit brighter. I'm going to dry my canvas off using my hair dryer here, and I will definitely mute it to where you guys won't hear it. All right, so we're back. This should be pretty dry now. We're closing in on the final steps of our painting, and that's a good thing because we're getting closer and closer to signing it and hanging it up on the wall. There's just a few more things to do here. We are going to finally let our little brush have all the action. So we just need a little bit more black paint. What I like to do is I like to get this brush wet first, of course, before introducing it to the paint. But I like to take the water that's on the brush still, not drying it off, and I like to add it to the black paint, and it loosens up pretty good for us here. That loose, wet paint makes it to where it becomes really easy to write with. So it's really good signature technique. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick out some spots to put trees. I'm just going to put a line there, a line here. And I'm just going to make them get a little bit smaller as they close in towards the center. A few more over here. I mean, they don't have to be perfect lines. They don't have to all be like the same spot. I just kind of put some in different little places here. As you can see on this side, there's a lot. These ones are a little bit more spread out. You can kind of make them however you want. And I've seen trees made in so many different ways here. So for this one, these trees that I'm going to show you, I'm going to do a real up close picture for you. So there's like a little zigzag technique, and you can start at the top. With this brush, you can achieve it, but you can also switch back to the big brush if you want. But I like to just kind of lightly tap at the center of the top of a tree, and then gradually go out to the sides, just making little dots, little blots, letting my brush kind of just flatten out just a little bit. And you can tinker with this on some paper first before putting it on your canvas. That way you can kind of see the way it looks a little bit more. Let me show you on my paper here, so because my paper is white and bright, what I did. So I have my little line for my tree. I'm going to tap along the top and just kind of zigzag down as I'm blotting my brush. Now this takes a little bit of time to do the trees this way. They look a little bit neater and cleaner as you bring them down, and you just want a little bit more volume towards the top, and you definitely want to get a little bit more volume, a little bit more thickness, and spread them out to the sides more as you go down the back. Now if you switch to the big brush here, switch to our big guy or big brush, you can achieve the same tree technique. However, it's a little bit trickier. You just take your corner of your brush, start at the top using just a little amount of your brush, and gradually use a little bit more and more of your brush. Now this gets you like thicker trees, but you can get some better branch textures out there. There's a lot of water in my brush. So this paper's not great for demonstration. We'll have better paper for next time. So I'm going to use my big brush because it's faster for me, and I can get you some of those helpful gifts. I hope they help. It's something that I thought of last minute and wanted to implement into my videos, hoping that they would help, and because I know that my video quality probably is not the best quite yet. I loaned my high quality webcam to my Nana-in-law just before I decided to commit to this stuff. I had the ideas for a while, but I haven't actually taken steps to like do it. But now I have, because I want to do this. I like teaching classes, and I miss work. Is that bad? Is that bad to miss work? She's not. She can't hear me. okay. I had a fun job, so it's easy for me to miss work. Okay, so I got my trees on here. They're kind of spaced out, but you can definitely do some more volume. Now these are way more spaced out than what I would normally do. So I'm going to add some more volume to mine because I like thick, bushy trees. To me, they're healthy. So let's get some healthy, thick trees in here. Thick with 2 C's. See, the wine's getting me comfortable. Good thing we only have a few steps left. Yes, now if you want to add a little bit more volume trees, you could just take your brush long ways and just kind of smack these in there real close together and kind of shorten them up in between. This kind of helps give you the illusion that there are way more trees hanging out back there. Just kind of lightly dab them in between. You can add a little bit of treetops to them with your brush. Just kind of go at it. It's your forest at this point. All right, so that's nice and thick, nice and full for me. Give you a little bit of a close-up. That looks a lot better than the first one I showed you. If you can see it. All right, you got too big of a tree? Hey, that happens. If you have a big tree, that's okay. You got a big, healthy forest. You shouldn't hate it. It is a big tree, but it's a good tree. It means it's really close in perspective. So, like when you get stuff that happens like that, if it's really big, just imagine that you are standing closer to that object in your painting, especially when it comes to things in nature. So there are so many ways to look at our paintings before we judge them and hate them or anything like that. Like there's so many different perspectives, and one really good method is to once you're finished with your painting, you can put it away for a while, like say 2 weeks or so. I've gone as long as like months, like 3 months, and not seen my paintings, and I would forget about them. And when I would find them, I'd be like, "Wow, who made this? Oh, it was me." Like, so don't feel defeated yet. And plus, a lot of the times our paintings are they're all going to be different regardless. So don't feel defeated by that. Okay, so here are those trees a little bit more close up with that big brush. A little gift there. I'm going to let you have some time to finish that up real quick. These last 2 steps to our painting are the smallest steps, but they make the biggest impact. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take our little liner brush, but we're not going to use our brush side. We're going to flip this guy over. We're going to use its butt end. And we're going to grab dip it into our white paint here. You just need a little dollop of white paint, and you're going to add some stars. Now, you don't need to add it too many, but you can if you want to, if that's your thing. I'm just going to add some little stars that just stand out more than the rest here. And you can have them in your cloud cluster. Like these are not, clouds. They're in space, so you can definitely have some stars in there. And voila, we got some stars up there. Now our final step to the painting is the most important step. This is what lets everybody know who made the darn thing. So we're going to grab some water. We're going to add it to some black or white to turn it into that good liner paint. A little bit of water to your paint. And you're going to find a spot and sign your painting. So that concludes all the steps to the painting. That will finish it off for you, unless you forgot that bottom edge, of course. Don't forget that, or any of your edges. Now you have plenty of time to go back over any of these steps and just kind of touch up whatever you want. message me with pictures of your painting. Let me know if there's anything that you would like to mend or adjust or even just add to if you have more ideas. Like, I'm happy to help. So thank you all for painting with me, whoever was here today. I really hope to do this again next week. I plan on using the same combo of colors so that way we are not having to constantly run to Curbside Michael's to get more paint. So we'll do black, blue, and white again for our painting next week. And same surface size, or you can try on a different surface. There's like so many things you can use. We're going to, oh yeah, you're over here. Grab your painting. We got to show off my mom's painting. Okay, let me get out of the way here so y'all can see what she did. Definitely show me what you've done. Post your painting on the event page or send them to me and I will add them to a collection. So here was my mom's painting. First time ever following along with a paint class, and look how awesome she did. She got that so close to how I did it. And this is the beauty of things. As you can see in my first painting here, it does look similar over here. However, if you get up real close, there's a lot of differences in them. And same here. This just proves that we're people, not printers, but we can all make beautiful things, and we should continue to paint during quarantine, regardless of everything that's happening. So hopefully this was fun for you, and you'll do it again with me next week. So thank you.